if you were to tell me pre-2023, if you were to tell me there would be a moment where I would see a ton of people actively celebrating Iran, it's crazy. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to watch unfold. Send me the link for the press department, please.
Not have a nuclear weapon. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also stated that fact as he has traveled the world working to implement President Trump's vision of peace and security. That statement has also been uttered from this podium many times. The fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon is clear. As the White House reminds us, since taking office, President Trump has clearly stated no fewer than a dozen times that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, for anyone who's unclear on that fact. President Trump has made the same pledge no
Guys,
fewer
you don't
than
understand.
40
America
times
first and being a
before
peaceful
taking
dove
office.
actually
Even as
meant
far
doing the
back as
exact same thing that
2001.
previous administrations have done,
priorities of the
which
Trump
is to go to war with
administration
Iran.
is the safety and security
America
of the
first
American
actually
people.
means
To that end,
doing a
the
decapitation
Department of
strike on the
State has
supreme leader of
established a
Iran.
Middle East
America
task
first actually
force
means
to
like
help coordinate
violating
support for US citizens,
violating any sort of isolationist principle that we might have actually run a campaign on.
The task force is operating 24 hours a day. Over the past week, to help keep U.S. citizens informed, we have issued more than 30 security alerts to countries in the region and updated the travel advisories for Iraq and Israel. We remind U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances. We continue to monitor the complex and rapidly evolving situation on the ground as we continue to assess and address the needs of U.S. citizens. We urge all U.S. citizens to regularly visit travel.state.gov for the latest travel advisories and security updates, and to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, also known as STEP, to receive timely alerts and guidance from the State Department. For Americans needing assistance, and there we have a bit of the website there for you, call +1 202 501 4444. That number again is +1 202 501 4444. If you're on that website, you can also click on that red box. It will take you to a page where you can search for the embassy of your interest, where you are, where you would like to connect to be able to get help from the embassy in the country where you are.
Yeah, unless you're in Israel, in which case the Israeli government doesn't want you to. Yeah, I know Trump leaked Mike Huckabee's text message. I read this morning. What an insane screenshot. I didn't even know you could screenshot something this long. I don't know how Trump screenshotted this.
A rapidly evolving dynamic, but to conclude the topper here today, I want to recognize the State Department and other U.S. government teams around the world working under threat on behalf of the American people, particularly those in Israel and Ukraine, who spent another night sheltering in bunkers as they came under attack. Our priority is the safety of Americans overseas and here at home. It is the priority of Secretary Marco Rubio. It is the priority of everyone who works in this building, and the thousands of American citizens who work anonymously and whom you will never see, who are working in embassies and consulates around the world and working with those local nations to be there for American citizens and to help facilitate American diplomacy. Our priority is the safety of Americans, yes, here at home, but also overseas. We thank all of those working on behalf of the American people, all of you watching from home and from around the world. We thank you, and for everyone around the nation, we know and honor your work as we begin another briefing here, ready to take your questions. All right. Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Yes, hi.
By the way, notice how the State Department press briefings are damn near identical in their response to the previous State Department, regardless of how different things are.
It's going to help Americans potentially leave the
Okay.
region.
My goats are there.
Repatriated, or
Goat.
depending on the countries that they're in.
I guess
And,
Prem
any
is
more
Prem
detail
not
you can
there?
give
I
on
don't see him.
Right. Well,
I guess they revoked Zeteo's press credentials. This is live, yeah.
There is always things that I can't say to you. And yet we have a long back and forth. Sometimes we have a little bit of a debate. I won't engage in that today. My my responses will be perhaps a bit quicker than usual, and I'll be moving around more quickly to reach as many of you as I can. There will be less than I can answer for you because of the circumstances that we're dealing with around the world. So it is, just want you to know, it's not personal, but we're working on certain things like the task force as an example. The task force is a group of people who are working, taking the calls of people, of American citizens around the world, making sure that they get connected with what they may need in that region. I won't go into the details of all that the task forces do, of course, but it's about information, making sure people here at the State Department and people that we get the information we need, but also people around the world, American citizens, get directed to the information that they may need as well. So I'll leave it at that, but this is something that the State Department does when there's a situation that requires it, and this is one of those times.
Tammy, I'm sorry. Could I just ask
Sure,
about the
Matt,
phone
sure,
number?
of course.
The phone number that you get, if you call that number, which I can do right now, who do you get?
You get an individual who is
Task force, or?
no, you don't get the task force. That phone number is a general phone number. The task force is busy, but it is a separate unit that is established to take the calls to assist American citizens who call to the embassies. Particularly, you're going to be referred to embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So good question. Thank you, sir.
Task force, or?
No, you don't get the task force. That phone number is a general phone number. The task force is busy, but it is a separate unit that is established to take the calls to assist American citizens who call to the embassies. Particularly, you're going to be referred to embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So good question. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, Andrea.
Just a quick question. There's some specific consular needs. One in particular that I'm aware of, and there may be more than one, is an American citizen in Iran, where there is no embassy, no consulate. Mm-hmm. Would that be the Swiss protectorate? Would there be other options? Is consular affairs give any advice as to what to do about Americans right now stuck in?
I can't speak to any advice or information regarding individuals in Iran at this point.
And what about American Israelis or Israeli Americans either wanting to come out or wanting to get back home? LL, I believe, has resumed flights in some small measure.
Why is
for
she
people
there?
Who, some people have kids in Israel and they were visiting the States. Mm-hmm. And they're American citizens. Is there anything that they can do? Where should they call this number?
Well, obviously, if you know, and we encourage every American when you travel, is to contact your local embassy.
Andrea Mitchell's is like a super high-level CNN commentator.
That's what I would recommend, no matter where you're traveling, but certainly in the Middle
normally
East,
would not play the function of a national security reporter, like a State Department reporter. MSNBC. Sorry, MSNBC. So this is like, they don't send people like her normally to State Department briefings. It is quite bizarre that she's there. Yeah, she's married to Alan Greenspan. Like, this is like a super OG, longtime reporter, solid track record. I wouldn't say solid track record, but like, when you're a reporter and you get to the point of high level commentator, you don't actually sit through these press briefings. Okay, it's like, is Jake Tapper there? No. Do you understand what I mean? It's like sending Jake Tapper there. Someone said solid. Oh, she stepped down from anchor chair on MSNBC and is now a correspondent for NBC. She got demoted.
Well, I'm certainly not going to characterize what President Trump says or tweets.
Yeah, she's also unsurprisingly very pro-Israel. It's like sending Wolf Blitzer. Yeah. So like all these guys obviously at a certain point were loyal little soldiers in the media that did like their quote unquote journalism. They did their reporting only to get elevated to the highest status. The highest status in the media is like when you become like a New York Times op-ed writer, or when you become or when you basically become a commentator, like with your own show with your name associated with it.
To stop peacefully through diplomacy. That has been his commitment. And he wants these things, as he said, about a number of situations, not for a month or 6 months, but durable ends to this nature of forever wars. And that has been his posture, and that's his posture now.
Okay, I have an easier follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people...
I'll take a hard one, too. I'd say.
How many people so far have contacted U.S. missions in Israel or elsewhere, American citizens?
I'm losing my mind. Stop asking about American citizens being allowed to leave Israel. Oh my God. That is, sure, it's relevant, but it's the least relevant part of this. Please ask about what the administration is planning to do. Please prod some questions. Why are tankers moving into the region? Why are there bombers in the region? Does Donald Trump need congressional authorization? We know the answer, but at least it's important to have it on the record. Trump's desire to handle the escalating conflict in the Middle East diplomatically is waning. Officials familiar with the ongoing discussions tell CNN Trump is growing increasingly warm to using U.S. military assets to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. This is basically the same fucking holding position, the holding pattern that we've been in. As I said yesterday, and I will keep repeating over and over again, the situation is basically identical to Iraq. Okay, it is identical to Iraq. We are at the precipice of a fake reason, fake justification, WMDs, fake pretext to go and wage war in an even larger country with an even more powerful military. In mountainous territory that is basically designed geographically to be like a natural castle that will be incredibly costly in terms of human life and human casualties in Iran, first and foremost, and then also for American troops as well. This is Iraq War 2.0 coming from the guys who claimed that they were anti-neocon, coming from the administration that successfully ran and won, positioning themselves as antagonistic to the Iraq war. But this time it's different. That's where we're at. Now, I don't know. I don't know if they will continue along with this ambition or if they're just simply doing like the Trump madman doctrine, which has happened in the past. As well with like Qasem Soleimani's assassination, for example. Trump does something absolutely insane that under normal conditions would be considered a severe violation of another country's sovereignty. But then there is not much response from said country, this time Iran again. And then they get back to the bargaining table or whatever. And the only reason why this has worked so far is because of the unimaginable power that America has in the region, unimaginable power it has in terms of like doing damage to the civilian population, and the lack of appetite from countries like Iran to kill their whole population, like throw their population in the field of fire under American munitions. That is the only thing that has stopped. Iran's restraint is the only thing that has stopped World War III from unfolding, and it's not because of the brilliant calculations of Donald Trump. It's almost identical to like the way that Kissinger operated, bullying all of these other smaller countries and just like brutalizing them over and over again, pummeling them, doing a ton of war crimes in Asia, knowing full well that there was no retaliation that America would ever meet. The only major difference between what's unfolding right now and 2003, however, is that there is one, no 9/11 component. Two, we're living in the post anti-Iraq war meta, where Americans like recognize the war on terror as being overwhelmingly a failure, right? And on top of that, I would say that we have tremendous economic instability, which I think plays a role in Americans not feeling as patriotic, or the Western world in general, not feeling as patriotic about their countries, like not feeling as though they are willing to go and serve in the military to like defend Western nations or whatever. It's like they can't pay rent. Why the most people, if you ask like Gen Z, they're like, oh, would you serve in the American military? Or would you serve in the British military? And they're like, I'm not going to die for someone else's wars. Like, why would I do that? I can't even pay rent. And on top of that, there's tremendous enmity towards Israel. There's tremendous anger and resentment towards Israel in the public's eye. Politicians are united on defending Israel, but the American population even is not so united. It's one of the most common metas right now is like, I'm not dying for Israel. I'm not dying for Israel. That's like the rallying call of an entire generation. So when you look at that, when you look at the situation with deep economic volatility, deep uncertainties about people's futures, anger and resentment, and try to slap on a additional war that is even more costly than the previous wars that America is engaged in that are deeply unpopular. I don't know if Americans will be on board with this. I feel like this could potentially destabilize the entire Western world if implemented. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe America will find a way to nip this in the bud and have this like full-throated pro-war propaganda that they've been pummeling, that they've been pumping out on every outlet right now. They've been doing that. They've been doing that nonstop. If you notice, like CNN and New York Times is damn near identical with the way that you hear commentary from Fox News on this stuff. There are very few outspoken anti-war people out there. You got some crazies on the right. Some of the most like crazy MAGA people are coming out against it. But then also you got like the AOCs and the Thomas Massey and the Republican Party and the Bernie Sanderses of the Democrats that are coming out against it. But overall, Democrats and Republicans, especially at the highest levels of the party, are fully on board with escalating this conflict and moving in. Let's get back to it. President Trump urges evacuation of Tehran as the Iran-Israel conflict
deepens.
deepens.
We're going to begin with Israel stepping up its bombing of Iran and a blunt new warning from President Trump, all while Iran continues to just fire back. Iranian missiles hit an Israeli city this morning after Israel's warplanes attacked targets in Iran's capital, including its state-run broadcaster. More Iranians are fleeing their homes. Take a look at these pictures of the cars just leaving in droves. Trump is urging them to go with an online post saying everyone should immediately evacuate. Deborah Patta is in Tel Aviv. Deborah, the situation certainly seems to be...
Ken Leakenstein with new reporting coming out fresh off the presses. Trump has secretly greenlit regime change in Iran. Worst kept secret of all time, by the way. Israel wants regime change. The U.S. is fine with that, sources say. Donald Trump is lying almost about everything regarding Israel and Iran. Trump knew what Israel was going to attack Iran, knew the basic outlines of the strategy, and implicitly gave the U.S. okay. Trump also quietly and enthusiastically embraces Israel's unstated goal of regime change. Two high-level U.S. officials involved in the internal discussions tell me. Trump hasn't officially approved anything, hasn't committed anything to paper, and hasn't signed off on any specific act. But in the dance of phone calls and back-channel messages and things said and not said, the two countries found agreement. Trump has given Israel the green light by not saying no. They're calling it the yellow card or the yellow light. They're saying it's not a green light, it's not a red light, it's a yellow light, which means basically functionally whatever Israel wants to do, you can do. We're not going to say no. This is the world of statecraft at the highest level where leaders say one thing and do another. This is not for, yes, sirens in Jordan. I know. It's red alert in northern Israel. They're going to bomb Haifa again. I know. When it happens, we'll cover it. Okay, calm down. This is not only for deniability's sake or to intentionally mislead. This is not only for deniability's sake or to intentionally mislead the public. It's just the way of the world that includes a set of rules and workarounds that allow leaders to never be frank. There are massive risks involved in Israel's campaign and in America's implicit support, but in the ways of national security, we just don't get to discuss them. It all started during the Biden administration. The two knowledgeable insiders tell me when Israel first pitched America on the campaign playing out now, fearing escalation and things spinning out of control, fearing the United States getting dragged in, fearing Iranian civilian deaths, Biden vetoed Israel's plan that is under the table and off the record in the shadow world of deniable diplomacy. Washington's lack of assent meant that direct action to operate outside the context of Hamas were off the table. Instead, Israel in 2024 carried out a spate of assassinations of extremely high-level adversaries. First, Israel killed Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Then they bombed an Iranian embassy building in Damascus, killing high-ranking Iranian generals. For the record, all of these things that happened under the watchful gaze of the Biden administration was directly a violation of numerous red lines, and it was reliant on a hopeful Iranian restraint that actually did exist, restraint paired up with Iranian naivete, I would say. And the Biden veto wasn't necessarily a veto in terms of like, oh, too many civilians are going to die, as Ken is reporting here from these official sources, anonymous sources, but it's more so now is not the right time. Now that actually the axis of resistance have been entirely gutted, and there is very few striking capabilities that can come from all of the fronts, with the exception of Yemen, basically. Now that Syria is toppled and Hezbollah is decapitated, and even like all of the IRGC troop positions in Iraq have been compromised, it is much more difficult for Iran to create an air of deterrence and restraint around Israel. Okay, now is a better opportunity for Israel to strike Iran, which is why they're doing it, right now, as opposed to under the Biden administration. Nobody expected these operations to be as successful as they were, which emboldened Israel. On April 1st, 2024, Iran attacked Israel in a massive and unprecedented missile and drone strike. Quietly, the U.S. military helped defend its number one ally. The Arab states looked the other way. The Iranian attack was largely thwarted, which sources tell me came as a surprise to the U.S. government and further emboldened Israel. Even so, Joe Biden didn't want a broader war and the risk it entailed, so he kicked the can down the road to Donald Trump. None of this, of course, began in 2024. Iran and Israel have engaged in a tit-for-tat shadow war for years, with Iran arming Hamas and other Israeli adversaries. This culminated in Hamas's October 7 attack, a traumatic event that could not have taken place without Iran's longstanding support and funding. That shadow war is what's at the background of all of this, not Iran's nuclear capabilities, the hobby horse of a Washington unwilling to deal with the reality of decades-long war, and the absence of our own policy for finding peace with Iran. Yes, the Iranian administration, the Iranian government, whether they were secular or fundamentalists, it does not matter. As long as the Iranian government is outside of the sphere of American and Israeli control, they will always be a threat. And the American government will always find a way to say, these guys are our adversaries, they're terrorists, they're bad, they're wrong. It doesn't matter. Because the ultimate goal here is the destabilization of Iran and exchanging leadership of Iran away from an administration that won't play ball with America or is not a willing participant in America's grand design for the region, to one that is directly controlled as a puppet state in the hands of the United States of America. That is the ultimate goal here. And the WMDs is basically the same. The nukes are the packaged WMD shit. Just as intervention in Iraq both was fantastic for our material interest, oil, all that stuff, but that destabilization and regime change in Iraq and keeping Iraq as a completely destabilized region that bred incredible militancy in the form of ISIS and numerous other groups was better overall for Israel's position of dominance in the region. It is not an accident that every single country that is not firmly within the sphere of American and Israeli control and influence has been thwarted. Okay? The ultimate goal here isn't even Iran. The ultimate goal here is China. For America's interests, like in the region, Iran is basically the final big bad that won't let them allow, that threatens their overall full-blown control over the region. The real reason why they want to completely control the region is because they want to have complete control. They want to have complete control over the energy production, or at least almost complete control over the energy production, and use that as a incredibly powerful weapon against China. The president has made it clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment, Vice President Vance said today. And he said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the other way. This is about the Strait of Hormuz, right? They could theoretically block it for countries like China. Yes, the Strait of Hormuz, where the overwhelming majority of oil tankers pass through. It is where the economic engine of the planet, the fuel supply of the entire planet basically goes through. And it's not just the Strait of Hormuz. it also is just like oil production in general. If you destabilize Iran, or put a puppet leadership in charge of Iran and turn Iran into like Egypt, for example, a servile state, then all of a sudden, a ginormous country that is aligned with China goes away. It's no longer a threat. You have complete control over the region. You have complete control over all of the oil that comes out of the region, and you can just shut it off. You can shut it off from going to China. Couldn't China just get oil from Venezuela? Additional complications, much further away, not as easily refined as like Saudi oil even. And ultimately, it's like that's the other reason why America wants to also destroy Venezuela as well. GOAT questioner at the moment.
Who isn't, no matter what the dynamic. The IDF has said a particular incident is under review, and that is helpful. And we'll see what their review comes up with. In the meantime, I think it is important also when it comes to the nature of the efforts to get aid and food to the Gazans. We now know, can report that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation now is working at 4 distribution sites and has distributed nearly 26 million meals to date. So it is, again, a conversation.
Matt Miller responds. Matt Miller ass response, bro. Straight up. Anyway, getting back to this. In reality, while the negotiations commenced in secret chambers involving just a handful of principal officials, Trump and his closest advisors talked about Israel's longstanding plan. A hint of these discussions appeared this past weekend when Trump told the Wall Street Journal that his team had foreknowledge of Israel's plans. The lesson Israel took from 2024 is that Iran might be able to bloody its nose, but not destroy it or the region. Not now, anyway. Israel also assesses that its many attacks on Iran's proxies, the emergence of a new Syrian regime, the failure of nuclear talks, and of course, its precise intelligence on Iran's leadership makes this the best moment to act. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran, Trump blurted out today. His use of the word we tell that he is fully behind Israel. It will take a while for the military and the bureaucracy and, of course, Congress to catch up. The news media will be filled with stories about the contradictions of this and that, about how close Iran was or wasn't acquiring a nuclear weapon, about World War III, and how toppling the Iranian regime is just the next Iraq or Libya, right up until it happens, whatever it will be. Everyone should evacuate Tehran, Trump said on Monday. President Trump has been unusually tight-lipped about Israel's military campaign. Asked Monday about the possibility of regime change, the normally loquacious Trump said simply, I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens. Pressed further at the G7 before the president walked out about what he knew, he answered totally out of character that he didn't want to talk about that. Israel has not yet officially said that its goal is regime change. I mean, they have. It's that's part of the game as well. But with much of Iran's military leadership eliminated in a lightning-fast series of strikes Friday, Israel's objectives clearly extend beyond just halting their nuclear program. According to the IDF, as of yesterday, Israel struck more than 865 targets, really aim points at targets, not targets themselves. The IDF says 20-plus senior military commanders have been eliminated. Israel's also attacking Iranian missile launchers, and it says it has already eliminated 120, a third of Iran's force. Aware of Israel's desire to mount a stronger attack, Trump publicly said he wanted 60 days to negotiate with Iran. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. Wall Street Journal is reporting Iran developing a trigger. Israeli intelligence showed Iran is working on a trigger useful for a nuclear bomb. I mean, this could be real. It could be totally fake, phony Israeli propaganda. The problem right now is that as events are unfolding, most of the information that you see, especially from mainstream media, especially from Israeli outlets, are going to be bullshit. Okay, this is a funny headline. We can take Trump's word for his word, U.S. State Department says. Back at the U.S. State Department briefing, spokesperson Tammy Bruce is asked about Trump's comments that he wants a real end to the Iran-Israel conflict. We can take Trump's word for his word, Bruce says, but I'm not going to speculate in a larger sense on what that would mean. That is up to the president. He's the singular guiding hand about what will be occurring from this point forward. I'm telling you, this is... I think this has been the plan for a lot longer. There's only 2 options out of this. Either it's the Trump madman theory, which is how much appetite Iran has for retaliation and how much punishment Iran will dish out to American assets in the region, to Israel in general. And that calculation is what causes America to either go in full blown or to, I guess, simply use this as a threat against Iran and the Iranian population to, I don't know, ultimately get them to a further weakened position where they can be easily thwarted. I do think that no matter what happens, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that no matter what happens, like the goal here is military, a decapitation strike and violent regime change. That's what I think. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I do think that the goal is to ultimately destabilize Iran and then inevitably down the line develop new leadership, create new leadership that is servile to American interests in the region. Has this not been the entire plan for a project for a new American century, which was Dick Cheney's think tank that spearheaded the Iraq invasion? Yes, some version of this exact plan has been swirling around in American right-wing NatSec think tanks in perpetuity. I mean, it's happened so many times at this point that I don't know how people don't recognize it when it's unfolding. Libya, Syria, Iraq, it's always the same method. It's not like they switch it around, okay? It's so crazy. I mean, it happened in Iran. Like, it's not, this is particularly strange because it happened in Iran already. Okay, this is not the first time. It happened in Iran to a certain degree twice.
Be escalating there. What can you tell us?
Escalating indeed, and a very good morning, Gail. Israel has expanded its aerial assault on Iran, not only striking nuclear facilities and assassinating senior military leaders, now targeting the regime-controlled media.
That's crazy. You're a press person, dude. You are literally, dude, this is shooting the BBC headquarters, okay? This is bombing BBC. This is a foreign government bombing the BBC. You can't say regime-controlled press to try to normalize blowing up a news station. The BBC is also regime-controlled press. One might make the argument that every single private enterprise in American press is also regime-controlled. It is so twisted.
Israeli forces have broadened their tactics. Last night, striking Iranian state television during a live broadcast. Thousands of Iranians have been trying to evacuate major cities since Israel launched its surprise attack last week. This dashcam video in the city of Isfahan caught an explosion on camera as the passengers were trying to flee over the weekend. The human cost of the war is escalating on both sides. Over 200 in Iran and at least 24 in Israel. This morning, Israel's air defense system fought off a barrage of at least 30 missiles from Iran. Most were intercepted, but some hit the affluent area of Herzliya just outside Tel Aviv.
Hassan, you're a liar. You claim that only the LA Persians are against the Iranian regime, but you know that's not true. 70 to 80% of all Iranians hate the current regime and want it gone. Stop spreading lies. I never said the Iranian regime is popular. Okay? In Iran or elsewhere. I'm simply stating, once again, that outside military intervention is not a celebrated act unless you are a complete sociopath. Get your stupid ass Hasbara out of here. Do you know how many people I know personally that have family members who are against the Islamic Republic and are now collectively saying, okay, well, there's a far greater evil here. American and Israeli intervention, military intervention. No one who is living under the rocket fire is going to go, well, at least this rocket fire is for a higher purpose. I know I'm going to die. I know my home is exploded, but at least it's for a higher purpose. We will be able to dismantle the Ayatollah's treacherous nature. It's idiotic. New report from the Center of Media Monitoring, a year-long analysis of BBC's coverage of Israel's war in Gaza reveals a pattern of bias, double standards, and silencing of Palestinian voices. Despite 30x more Palestinian deaths, Israeli fatalities receive 33 times more coverage per month. The least surprising information of all time.
It's good if Israel hits Iran, because then it's going to diminish the power of IRI. We are not them. Let them let them attack the embassy. Like, let's go. Like, they're cheering for Israel and America to start bombing them. How much of a you have to be like, oh, please, America, bomb us. Bomb us. I would love you to bomb us, because that really worked out for any other country that was bombed by US. Shut the up, birds.
No, you guys don't understand. This guy is clearly an asset. He doesn't know what he's saying. No, I have it on good authority that every Persian in Tehran is saying, please bomb us. Please, I am Iranian. I am Persian. Please bomb us. Please, Israel, please bomb us. That's what they're saying, right? Donkeys in the chat. That's not what I said.
Holy man. Oh my God. These are the people who are cheering for Israel. All right?
That's not what I said. Yeah, no, you simply act as though I'm making an argument that the Islamic Republic is very popular. The government is very popular in Iran. I've never said that. Okay, in the hopes that other people that read your stupid ass comment will think the implication there is that, like, it's actually valid to bomb Iran because you're a moron. Okay, just wanted to bring up an anecdote. My very normie friends are saying anti-Israel are empathizing with Iran. Shit is changing. Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy. It's actually pretty crazy.
Good evening.
Like, I thought that right now everyone would be salivating at the prospect of Tehran. You know, under, like, if you were to tell me pre 2023, if you were to tell me there would be a moment where I would see a ton of people actively celebrating Iran striking Tel Aviv, I'd be like, you're an insane person. You're a madman. What do you mean? What are you talking about? It's like a Luigi Mangione style change of attitude. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to watch unfold.
Start with breaking news, and in the last hour, Donald Trump has called for the unconditional surrender of Iran, with a veiled threat for the country's supreme leader, saying they know his location but won't take him out, at least not for now. The president is convening his National Security Council after telling reporters he's looking for better than a ceasefire and wants a real end to the conflict between Iran and Israel.
We're looking at better than ceasefire. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel. Nice guy.
See, he did the same thing. He did the same meme I did last night when you guys were like, Macron is saying that Trump is looking for a ceasefire. I was like, Macron who? Who's Macron? Macaron? Is that what you mean? That's a delicious pastry. I love it. The cookie, I love it. Macaroni? Macaroni and cheese? Mac and cheese? Trump leaving G7 early was a good sign after tweeting an evacuation order to the people of Iran. Macron has said that Trump's early departure from the G7 summit in Canada is positive, given the objective to get a ceasefire. He said that Trump had told G7 leaders that there were discussions on obtaining a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Trump literally refused to sign a de-escalation agreement at the G7. What the is this little man talking about, bro? Macron is so desperate to be at the table. It's so funny. Get out of here.
But he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
That's just when you're looking to get into this more. You're not going to involve the U.S. in this conflict.
Trump called him a publicity seeker. Publicity-seeking President Emmanuel Macron of France mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit in Canada to go back to D.C. to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wrong! He has no idea why I'm on my way to Washington. But it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire, much bigger than that. Whether purposefully or not, Emmanuel always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. I told you.
Are you going to do anything more for Israel right now?
Yeah, here. Trump has made an offer for a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. It's got like a cool little flavor. Trump has made an offer for a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Who the is Macron? Do you mean the French pastry? You know, the ones that they make with like vanilla, like it's like a cookie, and it's got like a cool little flavor in the middle. Is that what you're talking about? Who the is Macron, bro? Fuck's a cookie gonna do about 40 plus years of American dominance in the... Anyway.
Doing pretty well. Right now, we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Tehran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people to be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe.
Is there any new concern about U.S. troops or assets in the region at all today?
Great people, they know how to protect themselves.
And in the last hour, the president said this on his Truth Social channel. We know exactly where the so-called...
I'm Iranian, and from my opinion, I think the IRGC government was never good to his people. Maybe 75% of people resent them and want them gone, but this is our country and our history, and we not going to be cuckold and ask them to liberate us by killing us and bombing us. I think 75% will fight for their country and resent Israel more for the killing and destruction. I mean, yeah, that is my assessment as well. I think it's ridiculous to assume that like there is, no matter how much resentment exists for the current administration, when Western intervention comes around, Western military intervention comes around and starts killing your people, you're going to resent them more than the admin. I said this even about Ukraine. What did I say? A lot of people constantly point to me saying Russia would never invade Ukraine as a way to be like, remember when you got it wrong? My analysis also featured a second part that people never talk about, which was that Ukraine is a nation designed around not being a part of Russia, okay? Its entire national project and its mythology is quite literally about not being Russian, okay? So as soon as Russia goes into denazify, the only thing that it will do, and I was 100% correct on this, is that every single person that previously fought against Nazi elements, for example, like the paramilitary groups that existed with football hooligans that were doing like security work, right? All of those, like the Azov battalion or whatever, they would then take up arms alongside them. They would see the most nationalist elements, the most militant elements as liberators. And that's precisely what has taken place. Because the moment that you're attacked by a much larger fucking power is the moment where it's over, you know? You don't give a shit. Same thing with Hamas. There's plenty of people in Gaza that don't like Hamas. But it doesn't matter because those are the only people that have arms right now that are fighting against the Israeli ethnic cleansing campaign. About Ukraine, you said Russia deserved Crimea. Then you said Poles under guns and threat of violence under a fascist regime. No, none of the things that you just mentioned are correct. Joke, I love you. Don't forget to do the ad break. I like that every single thing that you said here is just completely incorrect. I did not say any of those things. You just watched clips and you took your nose from a dude who made shit up about my position.
Called Supreme Leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out. Kill, exclamation mark in brackets, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin.
Yes, this is mine. I just did
another post. He
this
said,
morning.
Unconditional surrender. Well, our US correspondent, Mark Stone, is in Washington. Well, Mark, obviously, Donald Trump facing a major decision. Difficult to know, really, what is going on in the Trump mind.
What? Side tangent? Why are you anti-Erdogan? Wouldn't you say he's progressed the country into the right direction since he's been leader? I feel like the fascist accusations are completely incorrect. Erdogan is a corrupt charlatan and completely subservient to Western interests. He is America's attack dog. And on his foreign policy stuff, which is what like a lot of Turks actually give him credit for, I still think that it's easy to do foreign policy when your ultimate goal is to serve America as a NATO ally. He also arrested his most popular political opposition unjustifiably. He is Mr. Fake fuck Netanyahu. He's the top dog of... He is the top dog at acting as though he hates Benjamin Netanyahu while simultaneously serving America's interests and therefore helping Israel. Great argument, Hassan, but what if I just lied and pretended you were wrong? Well, then I can't do anything about that. America, if the news covered it like those countries over there.
Deployed armed troops against U.S. citizens amid mass protests over the regime's increasingly repressive kidnapping tactics. The move has prompted international observers to issue travel advisories and warnings. The development immediately follows the scandal-plagued leader's oligarch ally alleging links to the Epstein trafficking scandal. The ruler's move to crack down further on citizens also comes as the regime transfers hundreds of tanks to the nation's capital in preparation for a military parade to take place on the aging and increasingly isolated head of state's birthday.
Erdogan is responsible for the slaughter and bombing of Kurdish civilians. Every single week there's a new civilian site getting drone bombed. The other day they blew up a grain silo in a Kurdish village. For what other reason other than being a deterrent for civilian population is the fucking point of that shit? I mean, it's just like, yeah. There is also a ethnic displacement goal, an ethnic displacement ambition that Erdogan has specifically for the northern Syrian corridor for national security reasons. Iranian here, my family left Iran when I was 9 months old to get away from the Islamic Republic. My family hates the regime, but we don't want to see our home in rubble. It's hard to see the area where we lived in West Tehran getting bombed. My uncle is stuck in Tehran because there's no gas. We want internal regime change, not external. We don't want to see our country fracture or go into civil war. Exactly. It makes total sense, even though there are some diaspora Persians that do take it to that level. But yes, if you have family members that are still living there, I don't think you're as on board with Israel killing them as some other people are. But the dynamic is quite similar to the reactionary force of Cuban American politics in this country with respect to a forcible, like a forcible military action against the Cuban regime.
Right now.
Very, very difficult to know, but it feels as though it is just one mind that will make up the decision, whatever that may be, and that is it's in the head of the president. He is about to convene a meeting of his National Security Council here at the White House. We haven't seen any comings and goings yet, and there is no Marine on the door of the West Wing, so my assumption is it hasn't yet begun, but you get a sense of this highest stakes diplomacy that is taking place now over social media. He is being pretty open about his thoughts, and those thoughts are ambiguous. They seem to meander from one side of, maybe there is an option for negotiation to the very extreme, we will potentially take out, kill, as you say, the supreme, or as he says, the supreme leader. So all of this, I think, is intentional. It is designed to really focus the mind of the leadership in Iran. It is to keep them guessing. He believes that he can still get them round the negotiating table as recently as last night. Again, very intentionally, White House sources were briefing US media, Axios in this case, that Steve Witkoff, the president's Middle East envoy, is prepared and ready to meet the Iranian foreign minister. But then at the same time, Donald Trump talking about bunker busting bombs being dropped on Iran's nuclear sites. So that is the sort of backdrop, I guess. And into that, world leaders don't quite know, I don't think, what the game is, even though they were around a table with Donald Trump just yesterday at the G7, a meeting which he left early. Again, that I think is designed to add jeopardy and a sense of the unknown to what might happen. He left in a hurry last night, was posting on social media well into the night, and again early this morning.
What is this? Isn't the Iranian government's at fault for not working with the West like Saudis to prevent this war, even for its own survival and people's benefit? Long before this war started as a foreign policy, would it not be truly sovereign then, or what? Dude, that's crazy. Why are people not kissing the ring is wild. This also just simply does not take into consideration what Western intervention looked like. The current administration in Iran is a direct response to how angry people were at the previous Western-backed puppet state leadership, which was a monarch. Like, what are we talking about? Also, in spite of all that, they did do that. They did the Obama denuclearization agreement. in spite of their understandable resentment, they literally followed through. Trump threw it aside and then was in the process, I believe, of like, I guess, restoring it to in a similar fashion. Ayatollah Khamenei could fix this with 3 words: Trump Tower Tehran. Yeah, true.